where Ernst may hold on, but out in Maine, there's no bet on that. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of swirl in the Senate, and that's going to be one of the places that you're going to look for some type of balance of control.
Rick, the GOP, they would love this seat, and they spent, Gary Peters raised $42 million and had to spend 38 of it to fend John James off.
And he had, the James campaign got so much support from the Senatorial Committee and some of those outlying PACs that support their targeted candidates. This is a race that they really believe they have a shot at. And one of the reasons they believe that is because the Trump campaign believes and have been telling us from the get-go, including last night, that they believe they have a real shot at winning Michigan. And the president's fortunes in the state will have a lot to do with John James' fortunes in the state, as they will for those other states I mentioned, where those candidates or sitting senators may have very slim margins going for them.
Indeed. All right, Rick, thank you. Nice to break that down.
Right.
Let's get now to our Attorney General, Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, joining us now live digitally. Attorney General Nessel, I would like to address the attempted, or at least fears of subterfuge in this election, in this state. Even today, you issued a press release about these fake robocalls. You had to indict a couple of guys that were also targeting and dirty tricking their way through Detroit. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, first of all, let me start with this. I will tell you, since the polls are closed today, I'm just so proud of our state. And I say that because we had spent weeks and weeks preparing for Election Day violence. And I got to tell you, we didn't see any of it. We were so concerned about, threats against voters, harassment of voters, intimidation of voters at the polls, and we saw almost none of it anywhere across the state. And so I'm just really thrilled that people voted in large numbers today, and they did so without fear. And I think that in of itself is quite an accomplishment given the strange year that we've had in 2020. But that being the case, yeah, of course the robocalls were upsetting. We are investigating. We launched a number of investigations today, as a matter of fact, based on various different robocalls, and some of them we're working with federal authorities. But we intend to do everything we can to find out who actually activated those calls, and if we can find out who is the perpetrator, hold them accountable.
So of those issues that you just addressed, from your vantage point, now that the polls have closed and it's taken such a long battle and a contentious fight to get to this point, is there anything that surprised you or causes you concern tonight about what you have seen?
Actually, no. We have seen so little in the way of any issues, and one of the great surprises, delightful surprises, I should say, is that we were getting a number of calls about some potential issues in Macomb County, in the city of Warren. So we sent our special agents out there, and what they discovered were a polling location where there were a number of Biden supporters and a number of Trump supporters. And they were together singing "God Bless America." So that was the commotion that we were addressing when our special agents arrived on the scene. And so to me, if that's the worst problem that we encounter, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and that's the good news, that there was no violence happening today. But we do worry about going forward, because with the results of whatever happens tonight in the presidential election, you worry about, I don't know, agitators or people who want to express their frustration in some ways. Are you ready to step in that instance? And is your office ready to step in case there's some sort of question about the integrity of the vote itself?
Well, look, we haven't seen anything like that at all. And frankly, any complaints that have been made, we've investigated. We haven't seen anything to interfere with the integrity of the vote in Michigan. And the few cases that Secretary Benson and I have discovered, we fully investigated. We're holding people accountable, and it does not affect the number of votes that were cast in any way, shape, or form. So many measures and protocols in place in the system, it makes it so hard to really actually undermine the election, except for, of course, from a misinformation standpoint. So we're not anticipating anything like that. Obviously, if called to, we will investigate. But, we believe that whatever numbers eventually we see will probably be valid numbers, and people should have faith and confidence in them.
So now, you recently took part in a town hall where you listened to, several voters across the state give their concerns and questions to you. What did you glean from that town hall moving forward that you can help voters with? I know this has been such an unorthodox election season. What is it that you feel you could change moving forward?
Well, let me say this, something that I discovered yesterday. So I actually took part in an inspection of the postal facilities, the distribution centers in Detroit and in Pontiac. And let me tell you, for voters on the west side of the state, what I found to be most disturbing. It wasn't so much ballots that had been completed that seemingly were not sent back. It was the absentee ballots that were sent from the clerks to the absentee voters. And I saw many, many absentee voter ballots that were being sent from Grand Rapids, from Kalamazoo, from Portage, from areas on the west side of the state that somehow made their way to Detroit and seemingly were stuck in the Detroit facility and had been postmarked weeks and weeks ago, and obviously never got back to the voters on the west side of the state. Now, I don't know how that happened. I don't know why that happened, but I can tell you that's the kind of thing that we have to do a postmortem on and figure out what went wrong, that people in a timely manner obviously applied for and requested those absentee ballots and never received them.
All right. Dana Nessel is Michigan's Attorney General. Dana, thanks so much for your time tonight. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Dana.
Thanks for having me. Have a good night.